When my parents hung up the phone on me for the 99th time, I walked into the household registration office with my cancer diagnosis report in hand. Hello, I want to cancel my household registration in advance. 10 minutes later, my parents rushed here with my adopted sister. My father, a police officer, came in and slapped me as soon as he entered the door. You wasted police resources just to be jealous of your sister. Have you wasted all the knowledge you've learned? My mother, a forensic doctor, snatched the diagnosis report from my hand. After glancing at it, she sneered. You forged medical records and pretended to be sick just to seek attention. You've been a liar since you were a child. My adopted sister cried and tugged at my parents' hands. I'm sorry, sister, I won't celebrate my birthday anymore. Please don't lie to mom and dad again. I wiped the nosebleed that wouldn't stop and stood in front of the household registration staff again. I don't have a family anymore. To avoid delaying the cremation in 3 days, please help me cancel my household registration. In the 3rd month after being diagnosed with advanced gastric cancer, the doctor strongly urged me to be hospitalized for treatment, but I didn't have the money, so I could only ask my parents for help. When my parents hung up my phone for the 99th time, I walked into the household registration office with my cancer diagnosis report. Hello, I want to cancel my household registration in advance. The staff member gave me a pitying look and asked, Little girl, don't you have any family members? Just as the words fell, my parents rushed here with my adopted sister. Without a word, my father slapped me and angrily pointed at my nose and scolded, You wasted police resources just to be jealous of your sister. Have you wasted all the knowledge you've learned? I was stunned by the slap. It took me a while to remember that today was my adopted sister Lucy's birthday party. My father specially took 2 days off to accompany her, and I, their biological daughter with advanced cancer, just called to ask him for some medical expenses, but I was accused of wasting police resources. Tears quickly welled up in my eyes. I covered my swollen and painful cheek and explained, Dad, I didn't. Still trying to argue, my mother snatched the report from my hand, glanced at it, and sneered, You even forged medical records just to gain attention. You've ruined your sister's important birthday party. You've been a liar since you were a child. How can we be expected to believe you? As she spoke, she also wanted to come up and hit me, but Lucy held her back with all her might. There were tears in Lucy's eyes, and she pleaded with me weakly and innocently, I'm sorry, sister, I shouldn't have celebrated my birthday. Please don't deceive mom and dad anymore. Mom and dad have worried so much about you. If you can repent now, I promise you that I won't celebrate my birthday anymore. My mother lovingly held Lucy in her arms and wiped her tears away bit by bit. The picture of the deep mother-daughter affection stabbed at my eyes. I was at a loss in my heart, and a stream of hot, fishy blood flowed from my nose. I raised my hand to wipe the nosebleed, turned around again, and stood at the service window, saying to the staff, I don't have a family anymore. To avoid delaying the cremation in 3 days, please help me cancel my household registration. My father laughed out of anger, his tone sarcastic. You actually dragged the government staff into your act just to ruin your sister's birthday party. It's simply absurd. Just wait to pay the price for your bad behavior. Don't say you're my daughter then. After that, they left with Lucy without looking back. After going through all the procedures, I went home alone. There are 3 days left in my life, with advanced cancer. Handled the cancellation of my household registration alone, while my parents were celebrating their adopted daughter's birthday, on the verge of death. I didn't want to stay at home, I just wanted to tidy up my belongings in advance, but as a result, I found that there wasn't much to tidy up. My room was the smallest utility room in the house. The things belonging to me in it were only a few old clothes and some pitifully few stationery items. Even Lucy's cloakroom was 3 or 4 times larger than it. Only the things she didn't want would be thrown into this utility room. After packing my things, I received a call from the cemetery company, Ms. Riley. Do you still want the cemetery plot you liked before? If you pay the deposit now, we will reserve it for you. Otherwise, it will be given priority to other customers. That was the cemetery plot I had seen not long ago. There were lush cypresses and trimmed roses planted in the cemetery. The gravestone and the urn were both in the trendy and fresh in style. It was my favorite style. At that time, I thought that since I had such a difficult life before, I might as well have a more comfortable afterlife. But at this moment, my wish couldn't come true. I hesitated for a moment and replied to them, No, I don't need it, because I don't have the money. How could someone who doesn't even have money for medical treatment afford an expensive cemetery plot? just after I hung up the phone. My brother came back. He rushed in and threw down his briefcase, looking puzzled. Cemetery? What cemetery? I thought he knew something, but the next second, he said reproachfully, Riley, what kind of trick are you playing again? I've heard all about it. You even made a scene at the Government Affairs Center just to ruin Lucy's birthday party. Not only do Mom and Dad think it's embarrassing, but even I do. Lucy cried with guilt because she was worried about you, and the birthday party was ruined. This is her only 18th birthday in her life. If she hadn't lost her parents since she was a child, she wouldn't want to live under someone else's roof. Why can't you tolerate her? I looked at Luke's aggressive manner, and the words I wanted to say got stuck in my throat. Wasn't I the one who wasn't tolerated? Lucy's 18th birthday is important, but what about me? Since she appeared, I've never had a proper birthday. Every time my birthday came, Lucy either had a cold or an allergic reaction. Then my parents would decisively leave me behind and the whole family would accompany her to the hospital. For 10 consecutive years, even if Lucy just sneezed, my parents would be so nervous that they would take out the thermometer. On my 18th birthday, they directly forgot about it. Before I could even wait for a happy birthday, they remembered to plan a party for Lucy, order a dress, and prepare birthday gifts for her. I looked at Luke with tears in my eyes and choked up as I told him, Brother, my 18th birthday was also my only 18th birthday. Not only did you forget it, but you didn't even give me the pocket money to buy a birthday cake. Luke seemed to remember something, and there was a hint of emotion in his eyes, but when he opened his mouth, he still said angrily, Why are you so petty? If you hadn't made mistakes and refused to repent, why would Mom and Dad be angry with you for so long? At this moment, my parents and Lucy came back. From a distance, their scolding voices of agreement came from outside the door. You still have the nerve to mention your 18th birthday. Just because of what you've done to Lucy, you don't deserve to celebrate your birthday. My father's face turned livid, and the anger in his eyes seemed to want to devour me. You messed up Lucy's birthday, but she almost fainted from crying in order to beg us to forgive you. Don't you feel any guilt at all? Hurry up and apologize to your sister. Lucy came back to herself from her sadness, forced a smile, and stepped forward. There's no need to apologize. I want to eat the soy milk cake made by my sister. Can you make one for me, sister? A trace of relief flashed in my mother's eyes, and she quickly urged me, Isn't this your best dessert, Riley? Lucy is giving you a way out. You're really getting off easy. Hurry up and go. I looked at Lucy's gradually smug expression, didn't move, and asked her back, Aren't you allergic to soybeans? You insist on eating the cake I make. Do you want to blame me for making you allergic again? Lucy's face turned pale instantly, almost in the blink of an eye. She came up and grabbed my hand, and pleaded with me in an innocent tone, I'm sorry, sister, I forgot. It's all my fault for falling down the stairs when I was a child, which damaged my brain and made me forget about the allergy. Don't be angry, sister, okay, I can eat other flavors too. Her hypocritical and affected appearance made me find it extremely ridiculous. The first time I made a soy milk cake, I didn't know she was allergic to soybeans. At that time, in order to prove my sincerity towards my sister, just because she said she liked it, I burned my hands countless times before I could bake the perfect cake base. As a result, Lucy had an allergic reaction and fainted. When she woke up, she immediately threw herself into my parents' arms crying, Uncle and Aunt, the cake is my sister's heartfelt gift. She said it would be okay to take a bite. Please don't blame my sister. It's all my fault for being greedy. Facing the resentful looks from my parents, I stood helplessly in front of the hospital bed. I didn't know my sister was allergic to soybeans, and my sister didn't tell me, but what I got in return wasn't trust. Instead, it was a kick from my father. He kicked me in the stomach and directly sent me flying several meters away. The pain was so intense that I couldn't even get up. The whole family knows about it. How could you not know? Don't make such a cheap excuse. I think you just can't tolerate your sister. So, I was locked in the room for 3 whole days. Those 3 days were a nightmare of my life. I had nothing to eat, nothing to drink, and couldn't even go to the bathroom. When I was let out, I was already exhausted. Thinking of this, I coldly refused her. My skills aren't good enough. I can't make what you want. If you want to eat something, go and buy it yourself. Lucy didn't give up and hugged my arm, her tone a bit fearful. Okay, I don't want the cake anymore. Don't be angry, sister, okay, as she spoke. A trace of venom flashed in her eyes. Her hand pinching my arm became even more forceful, until I pulled my hand back in pain, and she fell to the ground without any warning. Everyone's faces changed suddenly. My mother quickly helped Lucy up and nervously checked her injury. Lucy seemed to have hurt her elbow and leaned against my mother's arms, whimpering, "Mom, it hurts." Luke rolled up her sleeve, gently rubbed the joint a few times, and then turned around and shouted at me sternly, "Riley, you're going too far." My father was even more furious and directly came up and slapped me. "Riley, you really don't know how to appreciate it. If you hadn't pushed Lucy down the stairs when you were a child, would she have hurt her brain? I should never have given birth to you if I had known you were so vicious. Don't eat tonight. Go back to your room and reflect on your mistakes." This slap was almost with all his strength. I felt that one of my back molars fell out. My mother saw the blood at the corner of my mouth, and a hint of pity flashed in her eyes, but the next second, just because Lucy's crying became a bit louder, she took back her gaze and continued to soothe Lucy. I wiped the blood from the corner of my mouth and turned back to my room. I wasn't going to reflect. Instead, I took out my packed luggage. They gave me a surprised look, and then came the mocking laughter. "What? Are you getting wild and learning to run away from home? Your parents discipline you for your own good, Riley. Why don't you understand our good intentions? Since you're not convinced, if you walk out of this door today, don't come back." After being disappointed so many times, my heart has become calm. Hearing such threatening words countless times, I'm no longer afraid of not being able to return to this home, because this home has never truly accepted me. Seeing me walking out without looking back, my father angrily grabbed a cup and threw it at me. The shattered glass made a cut on my head, but I didn't give in because of that. I just stopped, turned around, and looked at everyone. "Since you regret giving birth to me, I will sever my relationship with the Lincoln family today. Whoever goes back on their word is a dog." Just as I left the villa's courtyard, Luke chased after me. He took out a few banknotes from his pocket. He handed them to me in an admonishing tone. "Take this 1,000 yuan, find a place to calm down for a few days. When Mom and Dad's anger subsides, come back and admit your mistake, and this matter will be over." 1,000 yuan. For Lucy, it's just the money for a meal, so they've long been used to thinking that my living expenses for a few days are only worthy of what a meal costs Lucy. At this moment, Lucy also ran out. She snatched the banknotes from Luke's hand and smiled and acted coquettishly towards me. "Sister, we're all family. Mom and Dad were just saying angry words. Does brother really want to drive sister away? In my opinion, don't give her the money. When she's hungry, she'll come back earlier, right?" Luke thought it made sense and silently withdrew his hand. My illness relapsed again, dragging my tired body. I don't know how long I walked before I finally walked out of the wealthy area where the Lincoln family lived. I used the little money I saved from my part-time job to book a hotel room. At night, I lay on the narrow bed hugging myself. As time passed bit by bit, I fell asleep. In the days before Lucy appeared, I was also the apple of my parents' eyes. At that time, they were both too busy with their work and really couldn't spare the time. They sent me to the countryside when I was very young. My mother kissed my cheek reluctantly and said, "Baby, when Mom finishes her work, I will definitely come to pick you up early." I waited for 4 years. When my parents finally came, there was an extra girl by their side. She was the child of my father's close friend. Her parents sacrificed for some reasons, so my parents adopted her as their daughter. I really treated her as my own sister, but until my birthday, when she was pricked by a needle hidden in her dress and cried and hid in my parents' arms and said, "Uncle and Aunt, don't blame my sister. My sister didn't do it on purpose. Give me a little more time, and I will definitely make my sister accept me." Her words directly sentenced me to death. I questioned her why she framed me. A sinister smile appeared on her young face, and then she grabbed my hand and put it on her chest, and then she fell downstairs directly. At that moment, my parents just came home. Since then, I've become a complete villain. The money I earned from my part-time job was framed by Lucy as stolen from her, and my parents cut off my pocket money because of that. I was bullied by Lucy's small clique, and she just pretended to be innocent and bit back, and I became the one who bullied her. What followed was being locked in a dark room. Because I often went hungry, I suffered from a severe stomach problem. When I summoned up the courage to tell my parents, my stomach medicine was replaced with vitamins. Just because I had stayed in the countryside for a few years, all the disgraceful charges could be reasonably pinned on me. Even the right to celebrate my birthday was taken away from me. In the middle of the night, I woke up from the pain in my stomach, and I suddenly missed my grandmother in the countryside very much. The noodles my grandmother made for me were better than any food in the Lincoln family. Not long after my grandmother passed away, the countryside was demolished. Unfortunately, I'm very tired now and don't have enough money for the fare. Even going to her grave has become an unfulfilled wish. 2 days left before the end of my life. I ordered the cheapest bowl of noodles as takeout. While waiting for the takeout, I received a message from Luke. Mom and Dad still care about you. They asked me to buy medicine to treat the wound on your head. Lucy has already gone to see you with the medicine. She has been trying to make amends with you. Please don't hurt her anymore. Okay. Half an hour later, Lucy and my takeout arrived almost at the same time. Just as I was about to take my first bite of the noodles, she raised her hand and knocked over my bowl. The noodles and soup splashed all over the ground, making a complete mess. Riley, you don't really think I came here to give you the medicine, do you? Sorry, I've already thrown the medicine away. She cast aside her usual weak appearance and laughed with jealousy and hatred on her face. Haven't you read the news? The staff member who handled your business was reported and suspended. Mom and Dad know about it too and are really angry. Hearing this, I couldn't hold back my anger any longer. Why did you do this? Because I hate you. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being a troublemaker. You dragged that person down. So what if you have gastric cancer? You seem to want to tell the whole world. But do you think Mom and Dad believe you? You're going to die anyway. Why don't you go and die far away? Why do you have to stay in the Lincoln family and be an eyesore? Looking at her furious expression, I remained calm. Instead, I spoke in a composed tone. Sister, I've never done anything to hurt you. Why are you treating me like this? Lucy laughed sarcastically. It took her a long time to stop. There's no way around it. A child living under someone else's roof is never as good as a biological child. No matter how hard parents try to be fair, they can't treat both equally. So I had to find a way to secure my position in the Lincoln family. Did you put the needle in your dress when you were a child? That's right, Lucy admitted without hesitation. I put the needle in myself, and I also fell down the stairs on purpose. By taking some special medicine, I could pretend to have an allergic reaction. I was willing to do anything to frame you, so everything that's happening now is what I deserve. What? Are you angry, dissatisfied? Do you think you can kill me? I was indeed very angry. The pain in my body mixed with anger made me almost tremble with rage. Lucy, you're so despicable. As soon as I finished speaking, she slapped me. She slapped me so hard that I fell to the ground. Riley, save your strength and hang on for 2 more days. Once you're dead, there will be no one left to threaten my position. She kicked me twice more before leaving with satisfaction. She didn't notice the camera I had set up in the corner at all. I slowly got up from the ground and laboriously dusted off my clothes that were soaked in noodle soup. I opened my phone and saw the news about the staff member being suspended. Netizens all sided with the public opinion and criticized me for my bad behavior out of jealousy. I didn't care about it, but the staff member was innocent, so I created a group chat and only invited Mom, Dad, and my brother. I sent the video I had just recorded to the group. At the same time, I CC'd the email to all the relatives, friends, and classmates I knew. 1 day left before the end of my life. I exposed Lucy's true colors to the Lincoln family. Then I left the hotel and went to a place where they couldn't find me. When I was at school, because my living expenses were cut off, I often went hungry, so I used my spare time to help out in the cafeteria in exchange for free meals. Aunt Wendy in the cafeteria took special care of me. She often filled my plate with a lot of food, and she told me to go and get more after I finished eating. The words she said to me the most were, "Riley, come and visit my home when you're free." She had a lovely daughter who was 1 year younger than me. She didn't have many friends. If I went to play with her, she would definitely be happy. But suddenly one day, Aunt Wendy stopped smiling and stuffing food for me, and she also stopped inviting me to her home. She took off her cafeteria apron, held all her daily necessities, and left the cafeteria. I knew it was because her daughter committed suicide due to long-term bullying. Aunt Wendy was forced to take a compensation of tens of thousands of yuan and leave the school. I found her home according to the address she gave me. After not seeing each other for a long time, she took a while to recognize me when she saw my haggard appearance. I licked my dry lips and said euphemistically, "Aunt, can I stay here for a day? I won't go inside your house. I'll just sit outside. When I'm dead, all you need to do is call the crematorium for me." Aunt Wendy's eyes instantly welled up with tears. She warmly invited me into her home and poured me a cup of hot water. She even went out to buy fresh ingredients and cooked noodles for me according to the taste of her hometown. Under the night sky, Aunt Wendy and I clinked our glasses. After eating a big bowl of hot noodles, even the pain in my body lessened. Aunt Wendy took out some cosmetics and a new dress that her daughter had never worn and carefully dressed me up. Then she looked at me with tears in her eyes. "Riley, shall I take you to the hospital?" I shook my head weakly. "No need, Aunt." Aunt Wendy couldn't hold back and shed a tear. She had never asked me about my family situation, but miraculously, she seemed to understand my suffering clearly, just like she had never mentioned her daughter to me, yet I knew everything about her. We sat there quietly for a long time. When my consciousness gradually faded, I felt Aunt Wendy's warm embrace, leaning on her shoulder. I heard her say, "Thank you, Riley, thank you. You gave me a chance to celebrate my daughter's birthday." I also wanted to say, "Thank you, Aunt, for everything you prepared for me today. Just this one day is better than all the past 10 years combined." But I couldn't make a sound anymore. I just felt that my body was getting lighter and lighter. Slowly, I left the ground and floated into the air. In the blink of an eye, I was back at the Lincoln family's house. When Mom and Dad saw the group message I sent, they almost simultaneously showed impatient expressions. "Look, Riley created a group chat and didn't even include Lucy. She still hasn't realized her mistake. Lucy lost her parents when she was young. As an older sister, Riley should have been more accommodating. But she can't even tolerate Lucy. It's a pity that Lucy has been giving her chances all these years. She really disappoints me." My mother's tone was full of helplessness, but when they clicked on the video, the disappointment and helplessness all disappeared. What came instead was shock and confusion, especially my father. He couldn't believe that Lucy, who had always been well-behaved, would say such vicious words, do such dirty things, and even hit someone as shown in the video. So, he immediately contacted the technical staff of the department. He asked his colleagues to help identify whether the video was synthesized. While waiting, my brother called Mom and Dad. "What do those words Lucy and Riley said mean? What about gastric cancer? Did Lucy put the needle in her dress herself?" I asked my friend to check, and the video isn't synthesized. Why is Lucy like this? Looking at Mom and Dad's stunned expressions, I finally understood why every time I was framed by Lucy, they firmly believed in Lucy instead of me, even with the most real video right in front of them. Their first reaction wasn't to question Lucy, but to doubt whether the video was synthesized. So no matter how much I explained before, it was all in vain. Their favoritism towards Lucy was like a mountain pressing down on me. It didn't give me any chance to breathe. "Mom and Dad, I have an urgent meeting to attend. You guys quickly ask Riley what's going on." Luke hung up the phone in a hurry. My parents repeatedly replayed every frame of the video. Finally, after a long silence, they looked at each other and seemed to realize something. They started frantically calling my phone. However, all they heard was the prompt that the phone was turned off. Not long after, Lucy came back. As soon as she entered the house, there were cakes that she liked to eat all over the table. What caught her attention more than the cakes were Mom and Dad. Today, Mom and Dad didn't welcome her home joyfully as usual. Instead, they looked at her with serious expressions and no smiles on their faces. "Dad, Mom, why did you buy so many cakes?" Lucy asked in a coquettish tone. "Lucy, Mom and Dad passed by a new dessert shop today and bought all the flavors you like. Try them." "But, Mom and Dad, I'm allergic to many foods, and I can't eat most of these cakes." "Have you forgotten? Since you know you're allergic, why did you ask your sister to make cakes for you again and again?" As soon as these words were spoken, Lucy visibly panicked. Just today, not long after I sent out the video, Lucy's small clique suddenly distanced themselves from her for no apparent reason. They were afraid that the matter of bullying me would be exposed and cause trouble, so they implicitly reminded Lucy, "Don't ask us to target Riley anymore in the future. After all, she's your sister. If your parents find out, it might not matter to you, but we'll be in trouble. Just thinking about your father's status scares us." Lucy didn't take it seriously. Obviously, she still didn't know about the video. She laughed confidently, patting her chest. "What's there to be afraid of with Riley's half-dead appearance? Even if she tells my parents, so what? Guess who Mom and Dad will believe? Her or me? Besides, I'm here, with me protecting you. What are you afraid of?" But now, She couldn't laugh anymore. Mom and Dad seemed very insistent on making Lucy eat the cakes and persuaded her again. It's okay to take a bite, Lucy, if you have an allergic reaction. Mom and Dad are here and will take you to the hospital right away. Lucy's face looked a bit unpleasant, but in order not to expose herself, she forced a naive smile. She picked up a spoon and took a bite of each cake. Then she turned to Mom and Dad and said she didn't feel well and rushed upstairs in a hurry. I slowly floated up and followed her. I saw her rummaging through the cabinets in her room in a hurry. After searching for a long time, she couldn't find what she was looking for. Lucy, what are you looking for? Lucy suddenly turned around and was so scared that she trembled all over when she saw Mom and Dad standing outside the door. I don't feel well. I'm looking for my allergy medicine. Is this it? Dad took out a white medicine bottle. Lucy instantly turned pale with nervousness. She knew clearly that this wasn't the allergy medicine, and as a forensic doctor, Mom would find out the truth as long as she took a close look at the ingredients. Then she would be finished, so she stammered, Yes, Lucy. You've been in poor health since you were a child. You should take less allergy medicine. Since you've eaten so many cakes today, Mom and Dad will take you to the hospital for a checkup. After the examination, Lucy didn't show any allergic symptoms. The doctor said that it might be because the intake of the allergen was small and didn't trigger any symptoms. Lucy held Mom and Dad's hands and chimed in with a sweet voice, Mom and Dad, I was afraid of having an allergic reaction. So I didn't eat much. Lucy has grown up and won't be greedy anymore to make you worry. Mom and Dad looked at each other, as if suppressing something. Lucy didn't know that while she was having the examination, Mom and Dad had already taken the medicine to a specialist doctor. Just as she said in the video herself, this bottle of medicine was exactly a special medicine that could cause allergic symptoms. After Lucy went to school, Mom and Dad slumped on the sofa like deflated balloons. They said that since they had confirmed that Lucy's allergic reaction was faked, the credibility of the video was 30%. Then, regarding the gastric cancer mentioned in the video, Mom and Dad looked at each other again. Finally, I saw panic on their faces. Husband, Riley can't really have cancer, can she? Could it be that we wronged her? My mother's voice was almost trembling. My father held her hand and comforted her. No, a healthy person can't get cancer. Let's find her and ask her clearly. They found the hotel where I had stayed and learned from the hotel owner that I had left after only staying for 2 days. My father looked around at the surrounding environment, the narrow room, the old facilities, and the dirty toilet. A hint of confusion appeared in his eyes, which had always been calm. They searched for 3 whole days, looking everywhere I might have gone, but they couldn't find any trace of me. Finally, even my brother took a leave of absence from his work in another place and came back. He asked someone to use technical means to find the last location where my phone had appeared. It was at Aunt Wendy's house. When Aunt Wendy saw my parents coming, she wasn't surprised at all. My mother's emotions were already a bit unstable. She grabbed Aunt Wendy's clothes. Where's my daughter? Hand over my daughter to me. My father pulled my mother away and asked in an official tone, Excuse me, is Riley here? I'm her father. Ask her to come out and see me. Aunt Wendy looked at them coldly and didn't even want to speak. She directly took them to the funeral parlor, pushing open one door after another. When what finally appeared in front of them was a body covered with a white cloth, my parents were stunned for a moment. Then, they both collapsed to the ground at the same time. What do you mean? Why did you bring us here? What kind of joke are you playing? My brother rushed forward angrily and lifted the white cloth. When he saw that familiar face, he staggered back a step. His eyes instantly turned red. Mom and Dad helped each other up from the ground and walked forward with trembling steps. I was lying on the cart with my eyes tightly closed, and my whole face was completely bloodless. How could they not recognize this face that they had hated for more than 10 years, but the person in front of them was dead? And this was an unchangeable fact. For a moment, my mother covered her chest and sobbed uncontrollably. My brother supported my mother and tried his best to control the trembling muscles on his face. My father stared at my body for a long time. Finally, he slowly turned his back, took off his glasses with one hand, and wiped away his tears with the other. My mother almost fainted several times. In the repeated pain, she finally understood how ridiculous it was for them to carefully investigate the authenticity of Lucy's allergic reaction in order not to hurt Lucy and finally conclude that the credibility of the video was only 30%. How could the video be fake? Everything in the video was real. after everyone's emotions calmed down, Aunt Wendy handed over my belongings to them. There weren't many things. Just some personal items and an old mobile phone. After turning on the phone, countless missed calls and messages popped up. Mom and Dad couldn't wait to look through all the traces I had left behind. The more they looked, the stiffer their expressions became. If the Lucy in the video was already enough to make people gnash their teeth in anger, then when they saw the chat records between me and Lucy, they would find that the video was just the tip of the iceberg. Riley, are you happy about getting the first place in the class? I'm warning you, you're not allowed to score higher than me in the future. Does the water in the toilet taste good? If I find out again that you score higher than me, you'll be drinking more than just toilet water next time. Don't you think the class monitor likes you just because he explained a problem to you? Look at yourself and see what you're worth. Meet me at the usual place after school. I'll introduce you to someone who's worthy of you. If you don't dare to come, you know the consequences. Riley. How dare you tell Mom and Dad that I replaced your medicine? Aren't vitamins better than medicine? Shouldn't you thank me? Sorry, I broke your only school uniform. Since you work in the cafeteria, it shouldn't be difficult for you to earn money and buy a new one, right? Or, if you kneel down and beg me, I can give you some of the clothes I don't want. My mother turned her head away before she finished reading, and tears streamed down her face. My father's eyes were red, and his knuckles holding the phone were shaking with force. When I got the first place in the class for the first time, I was beaten up by Lucy's clique in an alley because I was praised by the teacher. Later, I learned to control my scores. Even if I scored just 1 point higher than Lucy by accident, I would be taught a lesson. Getting beaten up was a common occurrence, and being held down in the toilet was also normal, just because the class monitor explained a problem to me. Lucy called me to the alley and brought a few hooligans. It was only when I held a fruit knife against my neck and threatened to commit suicide that they didn't dare to do anything outrageous. When my only school uniform was broken, I humbly begged my parents for the money to buy a new one. The three of them were sitting together watching TV. My father smoked and replied indifferently, "You bullied Lucy at school, and you still have the nerve to come back and ask for money. If you don't have a school uniform to wear, then you'll just get points deducted. You have to take responsibility for your own mistakes." Then he turned around and took Lucy to the mall to buy a bunch of clothes. Obviously, I was the one being bullied, and I was always dirty when I got home, but they firmly believed that I was the one bullying Lucy. I will never forget what my father said to me when he stood up for Lucy. "Riley, if you dare to bully Lucy again, even if you're a minor, I'll arrest you." The chat records were so long that they couldn't be finished at all, but for the past 10 years, that's exactly how I've lived. No one has ever stood up for me. In the sorrowful atmosphere, my phone rang. At first, my father thought it was a marketing call, but after listening for a few seconds, he turned on the speakerphone. "Hello, Miss Riley. Are you still interested in the cemetery plot you looked at before? Now, as long as you pay a 5% deposit, we can reserve it for you, Miss Riley, Miss Riley." Hearing the word cemetery, Luke covered his eyes with heartache. So I wasn't mistaken that day. On the day I went to cancel my household registration, I was already looking at the cemetery. "Dad, Mom, we wronged Riley. Over the years, we've been so wrong. Riley didn't buy that cemetery plot just because she didn't have the money." After saying that, he started crying softly. My mother held back her sadness, snatched the phone, and replied to the person on the phone, "I want the cemetery plot. Keep it for me. We owe Riley so much. This is the only way we can compensate her." So, they decided to take my body away. Aunt Wendy, who had been silent all this time, spoke up at this moment. "Riley told me before she passed away that she wanted to be buried next to her grandmother in the countryside. If you can't do that, I won't let you take her away." My father stepped forward angrily and shouted, "Riley is my daughter. What right do you have to make decisions for her? Why didn't you take her to the hospital when you knew she was sick? What were you thinking?" After hearing this, Aunt Wendy's expression didn't change, but her voice became colder. "You want to go to the hospital now? What were you doing before? Parents like you still have the nerve to blame others. Just because Riley chose to come to me at the last moment of her life, I must fulfill her wish. If you have the guts today, step over my body. Otherwise, don't even think about taking her away." In the end, Aunt Wendy watched my father call to cancel the cemetery plot before she allowed them to take the body away. Vaguely, I seemed to hear Aunt Wendy whispering, "I'm sorry, Riley, this is all I can do for you. I really don't have the right to handle your affairs after death, legally." They are still your relatives. I have no power to interfere whether they will abide by your wishes or not. I floated in front of Aunt Wendy and tried to give her a hug. Aunt, you've done so much for me, no matter what the result is. I'm grateful to you, because apart from my grandmother, Aunt Wendy is the only one who has ever stood up for me. My mother decided to dissect my body herself, in the dissection room. When she just untied my clothes, she couldn't help but burst into tears again. On my body, almost no part of the skin covered by the clothes was intact. Among these scars, there were bruises, burns, marks from beatings with sticks, and kicks. Some of them were caused at school, some of them were inflicted by my parents themselves. If Lucy was the murderer who killed me, then they were the accomplices. My mother looked at the cold body and hung her head in regret. I'm sorry, Riley, Mom was really wrong. It had been 3 days since they finished handling my affairs, for Lucy. These 3 days were no different from usual. When she came back from school and saw that Mom, Dad, and Luke were all sitting in the living room, she pounced on them and acted coquettishly as usual. Mom, Dad, and brother, you've been so busy with work every day, you haven't accompanied Lucy for a long time. Lucy misses you so much. Her eyes rolled, and she sat next to her father. Then she said innocently, I saw my sister the day before yesterday. She was hanging out with those yellow-haired gangsters in society and hasn't come to school for several days. Dad, don't be angry with my sister, okay? You just need to give her a little lesson, like making her do some housework. Before she could finish speaking, my father slapped her across the face. Lucy covered her red and swollen cheek, her eyes full of disbelief. Dad, we of the Lincoln family doted on you like a precious pearl, but you turned out to be such a vicious person. Give me my Riley back. My mother thought of my body that hadn't even been buried yet, looking at Lucy's expression as she lied without even frowning, her sadness mixed with anger. She picked up an ashtray and threw it at her. Lucy shuddered in fear, watching the ashtray fly past her and shatter on the ground. A flash of sharpness appeared in her eyes, then her eyes instantly turned red, and she continued to pretend to be innocent. Mom, what are you talking about? Lucy doesn't understand. Lucy, you've been pretending for all these years. Aren't you tired of it yet? Luke threw the video in front of her and sneered coldly. You really are a disappointment. Lucy picked up the phone and watched the entire video I recorded. It only took a few seconds for her expression to change from shock to horror and then to calmness. Then, she crawled to her parents' side and pleaded in a tender voice again. It's not like that, brother. I was just joking with my sister. My sister knows best. The video she recorded is just a part of it. The whole process wasn't like that at all. If you don't believe me, call my sister here. Before she could finish, my father couldn't bear it anymore. He pulled his hand back, took off his belt, and lashed it at her mercilessly. A bright red mark instantly appeared on Lucy's fair face. At this moment, when neither my mother nor Luke went to care about her, Lucy realized that the situation couldn't be reversed just by pretending to be pitiful. My father didn't even want to say a word. He waved the belt and continued to lash at her. That night, the screams in the Lincoln family's villa lasted for a long time. No one remembered how many beatings Lucy endured. They locked her in the dark room in the same way they had treated me before. They didn't give her food or water, confiscated her phone, and canceled her living expenses. They even tortured her with double the punishment they had given me before to express their guilt towards me. But I don't need it. Even if they kill Lucy, they can't undo the harm they did to me in the past. Even if I were to come back to life, I wouldn't accept their apologies. The news that Lucy had killed me quickly spread throughout the circle. At the same time, almost everyone knew that she had fallen out of favor in the Lincoln family, whether it was her police officer father, forensic mother, or brother who ran a company. They no longer cared whether she lived or died when she was dominant in the class. I wasn't the only one she targeted. Now, all the people she had offended came back to retaliate against her without hesitation. Even her best friend before joined the army of revenge to protect herself. In less than a week, Lucy couldn't take it anymore. With messy hair and a dirty body, she sat in the toilet cubicle. After a fit of useless rage, she suddenly calmed down. She deeply realized a fact. Anyway, Riley was already dead. As long as she sincerely admitted her mistake and coaxed her parents again, she could still stay in the Lincoln family. Sooner or later, everything in the Lincoln family would be hers. So, she knelt sincerely in front of her parents. Mom and Dad, Lucy knows she's wrong. I shouldn't have hurt my sister. I really didn't mean to kill her. I just cared about you so much because I lost my parents since I was a child and lacked a sense of security. That's why I accidentally hurt my sister. I promise that I'm willing to take responsibility for my mistakes, whether it's being locked in the dark room or having my pocket money confiscated. I have no objections. You've already lost your sister, and now you only have Lucy as your daughter. Without your sister around in the future, Lucy will definitely be filial to you. With tears in her eyes, she kowtowed heavily. Then she quietly waited for her parents' reply. However, she was disappointed. Her parents were not only unmoved but also exposed her intentions without mercy. Lucy, you don't really know you're wrong. You're just scared. Scared that you'll have nothing if you lose the Lincoln family, right? Originally, you could have lived a carefree life in the Lincoln family for the rest of your life. But you just couldn't tolerate my daughter. There's no medicine for regret in this world. Since you know you killed our Riley, you should understand that this sin can't be atoned for in a short time. Since you like kneeling so much, then go and sincerely admit your mistake in front of Riley. They took Lucy to my grave. To everyone's surprise, they finally fulfilled my last wish and buried me next to my grandmother. They also bought me new clothes, new bags, jewelry, and so on. They bought everything that I hadn't had in this life. They said they wanted to make up for my birthday. After lighting the candles on the cake, Luke made Lucy kneel in front of my grave. She knelt there from day to night. When Lucy looked around at the overgrown wilderness and some uneven bushes, she shivered in fear. She was afraid that something unclean would suddenly jump out. However, what she was most afraid of was exactly what I missed the most. Being able to lie next to my grandmother who loved me the most after death. I don't have all regrets. After kneeling in front of the grave for several days in a row, Lucy completely broke down. She fully understood that her intention couldn't be achieved, so she couldn't wait to implement her second plan. She exchanged her body for inhalable poison purchased from an illegal channel. She secretly poisoned the food while everyone was asleep at night. But she didn't expect that the Lincoln family had installed surveillance cameras at home ever since I died. My father was so angry that he slapped her several times. He took the evidence and sent her to prison that same day, and he announced publicly that the Lincoln family had severed ties with Lucy. After this incident, the people in the Lincoln family seemed to be in a state of mental instability. My father somehow found my old medical examination reports. He took the reports and went to the Government Affairs Center. He started yelling at the girl who had handled my household registration cancellation before. Why didn't you notify her parents when you canceled my daughter's household registration? You staff members are so irresponsible. I'm going to report you. His face was red with anger, and he quickly attracted a crowd of onlookers. Since the girl had been cleared of the false accusation and reinstated to her position, she was no longer willing to put up with his rudeness. If you hadn't said you were the girl's parents, I would have thought you were her enemies. The child was so sick, and you still treated her like that. What are your eyes for? Why didn't you think of this earlier? If you interfere with my work again, I'll call the security guards. Later, my father was reported for abusing his power and having an improper work style. After verification, he was fired. My mother was also in a trance all day long, constantly trapped in the condemnation of her conscience. In the end, she took the initiative to resign from her job, and I met someone called the system. It said that as long as I completed a simple strategy game, I could fulfill one of my wishes when I returned to the real world. My wish is to meet a family who loves me in my next life. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you like